Support for this episode comes from Modern Football Technology. Modern Football Technology provides real-time opponent tendencies and self-scout while eliminating manual data entry into Huddle, DV Sport, and Exos. If you're tired of tools that are time-consuming to learn and perform inconsistently at best, then we recommend Modern Football for a fresh perspective. Schedule a demo today at teammofo.com to see a battle-tested tool that's proven to perform and deliver value. Mention Coach and Coordinator Podcast or use the coupon code CC10 to receive 10% off your first year. And listen to our recent episode featuring Folsom High School defensive coordinator Jordan Ersick to learn more about how the 2023 California State Champion uses modern football to dominate their opponents.
Now, when we first install our defense, we're a five-man pressure defense. Mm-hmm. Day one, that's what we install, but we install it to stop the run. So we don't necessarily teach our kids to blitz as far as just getting to the quarterback. In a three-man front, we teach our guys to blitz to become a fourth or a fifth down lineman. And off of that, when you bring some pressure and you bring five, probably for us almost 70% of the time, play action, drop back pass, some of those times it's going to create those sacks that we had.
This episode is from our archives with Mike Fox, the defensive coordinator at Suny Brockport, following the 2017 season. Coach Fox joined the Brockport football coaching staff for the 2016 season as the defensive coordinator, and since his arrival on campus, turned the Brockport defense into one of the top units in all of Division III football, culminating in a National Defensive Coordinator of the Year honor following the 2018 season. Brockport's blitz-heavy defensive schemes installed by Fox led their league in rushing defense for 4 straight years from 2016 to 2019, and they also led the conference in scoring defense for 3 straight seasons from 2017 through 2019. Under Coach Fox, the Brockport defense led the nation in several categories, including all levels of college football and rushing yards against for 2 consecutive seasons, 2018 and 19, and its blitz-heavy defensive scheme helped Brockport to earn national acclaim amongst collegiate coaches across the country and be a major catalyst in the program's 3 consecutive Empire 8 conference championships. The program's dominant play led to 3 straight Division III football championship second-round appearances, and in 2017, the Golden Eagles advanced as far as the national semifinals. 2018 was a very memorable season for Coach Fox, as the Green and Gold effectively halted their opponents on the ground and through the air. Through 11 of the Golden Eagles' 12 games, Brockport held its entire schedule to negative yards rushing. Coach Fox made multiple appearances on the podcast, and I'll share his other interview on their third and long sticks coverage in the show notes. Be sure to stay tuned for our Winning Edge takeaways after this interview with Coach Mike Fox. What you see on tape is a direct reflection of what you teach and how you teach. Video is important, but if you don't teach well, you're not going to like what you see on your video. First Down Playbook has been helping coaches teach better for 13 years. It allows you to present installs, playbooks, and practice cards in half the time with NFL quality. Coaching tools like video pairing, a player app, practice schedules, and wristband sheets have made First Down Playbook a program management system with everything in one place. If you're in a position of leadership with your football program, receive a free 1-week look at First Down Playbook. Call them at 512-814-6158 or visit them on their website or social media. Mention Coach and Coordinator Podcast or use the coupon code COACH24 to receive a $100 discount off the normal $700 First Down Playbook team membership price. Links and the phone number are in the show notes. What are some of the best things you're doing to use that time efficiently to teach the game, to make sure when they get on the field they can play fast? And, I think technology obviously has played a big impact on that too. So maybe talk about, the technology you're using and what you guys are doing in those classrooms and those walkthroughs and whatever other types of things you do to help your players learn.
and this may sound crazy, but me personally, I've just started to use Huddle the last few years, before we were DV Sport, and Huddle is it's absolutely amazing. So I think I used to always go back and watch the practice film with our kids and watch every single play and go through every play, and you're just kind of wasting mundane time and whatnot. And now I'll go, the first thing I do every morning is when I get up and get into work, I watch the practice film, or a cut up of whatever we're going to be really focusing on for that day. I'll write my notes, and we get to our meetings before practice, and we only meet for 35 minutes at the most, before practice, and we'll go through the notes, and most of our kids, we've sent it out to them in the morning, and a lot of our kids are on their cell phones, maybe watching it and reading the notes or whatnot, and then we'll just hammer home the notes that we've taken, and this way we get through practice in 5 or 10 minutes and really just kind of hammer home on the corrections that we need to make. And now our scouting reports are all on Huddle as well. So as we break down an offense and we go top personnel, top run, top pass, and et cetera, things like that, it's all there. It's all in Huddle. It's very easily accessible. We're not flipping from page to page on a handout. And all these kids, they all have it on their phones. They have it on their iPads, all that stuff. So Huddle for us has been great, as far as just streamlining the information that we're trying to give the kids. And it's really saved a ton of time. So we're a big practice film watching team before practice, and as far as watching what we're doing, because I always treat practice as kind of a mini game. Let's make our corrections in practice before we hit the field on Saturday.
Absolutely. Coach, and I guess streamlining that process for your coaches and thinking of your defensive staff, how do you to break that up so that, that's not all falling on one guy to just be the tech guy? Because I've seen those situations before, when you adopt a certain technology early on and you make one guy responsible for it and then everybody kind of throws stuff at him. How does everybody take part in putting that together and making sure that process is streamlined?
Yeah, so there's 3 of us that are in the office, myself and 2 other guys. We have our linebacker guy and then our DB guy, and then I coach the D-line. So as far as breaking down an opponent, the next opponent's game, our DB guy will go in and do all the pass routes, the pass route combinations, where they're throwing it on the field, what field zone. He'll do the formations, any motions, things like that, and he's going to input all that formation. Our linebacker guy is going to go in and do all the run game. He's going to do the backfield sets. He's going to do all the down and distance, the games, things like that. So they'll break up the game, as far as that goes, which is pretty easy. And then practice-wise, it goes the same thing. So we input all of our calls in practice, so we're not looking back at a call sheet and, hey, in practice we're running this play. But, again, our DB coach will install all the coverages and put it right on our Huddle, and our linebacker guy will put in all the fronts and all of our stunts and blitzes for practice. This way we have it up on the screen, and we can go from there. Scouting report, that's kind of a whole different deal. But that's kind of how we run as far as the film breakdown for both sides.
Coach, is there any kind of quiz or accountability or anything you do throughout the course of the week or end of the week with your players?
Thursday is quiz day, absolutely. So I make I run the defensive line. And I really believe that position coach kind of goes with their position. Our DB's guy, we have 2 defensive back coaches. One is a part-time guy and the other one's a GA. So he'll take all the DBs. Our linebacker coach will take both our outside and inside linebackers, and I'll take the D-line. And we don't have a set quiz that we give every week. The reason that is because I don't want just our kids knowing what they have to study each and every week. But I'll put my starting defensive line up there, and the one thing they know they're going to get every week is, if you're a defensive end, tell me the 2 tackles. Tell me their top 2 run plays, and tell me what you think about them, and what's your number 1 pass rush move against them. So those are 3 things that we ask every single week. They get to know the number, the height, the weight, where they're from, name. What's the number 1 pass rush you're going to move? You're going to work against that guy if you're a defensive end on the tackle, and then their top 2 run plays that you're going to see. And then what kind of blocks you're going to see off that. So that's real simple. The kids know it each and every week. And then for our defensive lines, since they're the big guys, I like to, I'll throw in, hey, what's the quarterback's name? What's the backup quarterback's number? who's their running back, who's their fullback, just something different personnel-wise. So, just to make sure that they're really kind of watching it all and not just maybe focusing on, what they're doing. Because we try and do a good job of teaching everyone formations. And that's the first thing that we teach across the defense is you have to know all the formations, whether you're a defensive lineman, safety, corner, linebacker. The first thing you'll know in our program is all the formations of an offense. So if there needs to be a check or anything like that, everyone's on the same page. And it's very similar to, linebackers. Hey, what are the top 2 run plays that you're going to see? Okay. Tell me something that you're seeing from the offensive line, that you can identify a run pass. And then obviously, personnel is always a big thing for us. And I kind of leave that up to the position coaches each and every week to kind of, do on their own. For our corners, we're big on, just finding the releases of the receivers. Are they going to stem the inside? Are they going to stem the outside when they run a post or a corner? What is their stem tendencies? Because I do believe each and every receiver is going to have that. And then alignment. We're always talking about inside the numbers, outside the numbers. Feet inside the number, yards inside the numbers. If they're inside the numbers, what are they going to run? If they're outside numbers, what are they going to run? If they're on the numbers, what are they going to run? And then any tendencies, as far as yardage inside the numbers, and they need to come up with that each and every week. Those are kind of staples, what we try and get across on our kids, and we'll quiz them on Thursdays.
Yeah, giving those guys like those keys, those details is very important in making sure they understand. I mean, we could share all the playlists, we could think of, but if they don't understand some of those key points, they're not going to necessarily have that success you want them to have on game day. That it's sharing out some of those things as well. So definitely appreciate that. As coaches, we know that some of the biggest hurdles to our team's success can come from off the field. Your team needs support to tackle the endless list of expenses, uniforms, training equipment, travel, and more. But raising that money can feel like a full-time job. Thankfully, there's Vertical Raise. Vertical Raise is the premier online fundraising platform using innovative technology to create the easiest and most efficient system available. Raise more money in less time with a local fundraising coach who works with your team every step of the way to customize the ideal fundraiser. With options for online donations, digital discount cards, premium product sales, and even spirit shops, Vertical Raise has top-of-the-line solutions for every fundraising style. To find out more, visit verticalraise.com and we'll get you connected with an exclusive offer on your first fundraiser. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on the field. And first of all, give us an overview of the defense you're running. I know defenses today are very multiple, but what starts your teaching? What's the base?
We're a 3-4 defense. So this was kind of our first year transitioning to the 3-4. The last year prior, my first year at Brockport, we were a 4-man front. We were a 4-2-5. Very a quarters defense, very basic, very blah. Get lined up, play football. Prior to my time at Brockport, I was at St. John Fisher, and for a very long time, I ran the 3-3 stack. So me personally, I'm definitely a 3-man front guy. That's what I'm comfortable teaching. That's kind of matches my personality, matches, I like to be very, very aggressive from the defensive side. I like to put pressure on the offense, and I believe you can do that at 3-man front. So we kind of, when I came over, our head coach really wanted to be in a 4-man front, and our strength as a defense was our defensive line, and that was where we needed to go at that point. And then, we looked at things in the off season and where our strengths were, and we implemented the 3-4, and I believe it was a good change for our guys, and it allowed them to be a little bit more aggressive.
Coach, you obviously were aggressive in, you led the country in sacks for number one. You guys are number one in sacks. You're also really good at tackle for loss, and I think any time, obviously, you put the offense behind schedule, the defense is at an advantage in getting off the field. So talk to us first about, the way you guys go about creating those pressures that lead to the quarterback on the ground.
Well, to be honest, sacks have never been a huge stat that I've always been big on, to be honest with you. It just kind of worked out that we had an unbelievable year as far as, our sack total. But for us, first and foremost, the first thing I needed to do at Brockport, before I got there, and we played against Brockport. It was Brockport defense had always kind of been very good against the pass, and not so great against the run. So I believe, they were in the 200s somewhere in total rush defense. And when I got there, I said, hey, we need to fix that. We have to be able to stop the run. That is the number one priority. And in the first year we did that, I believe we were somewhere in the top 10, top 15 in the country in run. Now, we had a lot of work to do on kind of getting some pass rush and coverage in the back end. That was not our strength. But I truly believe that being aggressive on the defensive side of the ball, whether it be a 4-man front, 3-man front, aggressive to stop the run. Now, when we first install our defense, we're a 5-man pressure defense. Mm-hmm. Day one, that's what we install. But we install it to stop the run. So we don't necessarily teach our kids to blitz as far as just getting to the quarterback. In a 3-man front, we teach our guys to blitz to become a 4th or a 5th down lineman. And off of that, when you bring some pressure and you bring 5, probably for us almost 70% of the time, play action, drop back pass, some of those times it's going to create those sacks that we had. So for us, it really starts with just the run, stopping the run and being good up front with our front 7. And those kind of sacks just kind of came along with that.
Yeah, and you guys were number 3 in rushing D, holding teams to 54 yards per game. So you could see where that translates. But obviously now on the back end, you're doing some things right too. You guys had 25 interceptions, which was number 2 in the nation in 2017. So on the back end of what is a very aggressive front, what are you guys doing there to take the ball away?
So we transitioned from a quarter defense to really a cover 3 base, and I'm a real big fan of, cover 3, whether it be, just good old, as Nick Saban calls it, country cover 3, or, a 3 match that, we kind of was our base this year, a little bit more matchup on the 4 vertical concepts. But the greatest thing about the zone coverage is really just getting your eyes on the quarterback. And we have some unbelievable football players that, do a great job of that. And that was a hard transition from, quarters concepts being much more route combination oriented, reading routes, reacting to routes, to really just playing a true, whether it be spot drop or matchup zone of really getting your eyes to the quarterback. So I truly believe if you get your eyes on the quarterback and have great eye discipline, if you have good enough football players like we do, those interceptions will come, and that being, paired with being aggressive up front can lead to some bad passes or some hurried passes and maybe not getting to your first and second read and maybe throwing some hot combinations that, you're it's a little too quick for the eyes of the quarterback. And that just really worked out. And we have a couple guys in the back end that are really ball hawks. So really the credit goes to those guys of really doing a good job of reading the quarterback's eyes and really finishing those interceptions.
Speaking of finishing those interceptions, you guys do a good job of getting those into the end zone. I don't think any great coach who's able to bring his team to the top leaves anything to chance. So what do you guys do to turn into offensive players once you have the ball? How has that worked out that everybody starts working to get that ball into the end zone?
I wish I could take credit for that. I really do. And I'll be very honest on this podcast. We have one unbelievable safety who probably should be like a running back or a receiver. But when this kid gets the ball in his hands, I believe, I don't know off the top of my head, I haven't looked back at everything, but I believe he had 4 interceptions for touchdowns this year. Last year, I believe he had 5. He is unbelievable. Jake O'Connell, he's one of our safeties. He was an All-American, and he gets the ball in his hands, and boy, he is special to watch. One thing that we do as far as just turnovers in general, and this is really hammered home in preseason camp or spring ball, is we have a competition. So we have a turnover competition. So each and every day, our kids, they go out to practice, and they need to get 5 turnovers. And whether it be an interception, whether it be a forced fumble, we have a bunch of different rules that we have for all the different periods, which I could definitely go over if you wanted. Whether it be one-on-ones, wide receiver DBs, 2 interceptions counts as 1. If they catch the ball, the wide receiver catches the ball, and the DB, we teach them, hey, finish, come strip it, come punch it out, and if they can recover, that counts as 1 as well. So we're required to get 5 turnovers each and every practice. And for every one under 5, the whole defense will do an up-down, a 50-yard sprint up-down every 5. for each one we get under 5. Now, if that doesn't create some competition and some willingness to try and get those turnovers during practice, I don't know what will. But our kids, they really take a lot of pride in it, and maybe more importantly, they just don't want to do the running after practice. But it's been great for us, and the one thing it's really done is it's kept practice competitive. It's kept our kids in it. You hear our kids on the sideline. They have this chant. They call it yard sale. So if the whole sideline chants yard sale at the same time, and while that's going on, while that certain play is going on, you get a yard sale. You usually get a discount on some things, maybe a buy one, get one. If they get an interception, a forced fumble, or anything during that time of that chant, it'll count as 2. So it keeps practice exciting for our guys. And then as an offensive player, you don't want to be the guy to throw the interception or fumble the football, especially when they're doing that yard sale chant. So it keeps our guys into practice. It really emphasizes our kids trying to attack the football. That's something we always talk about, attacking the football, whether it be in the air, whether it be, in the hands of a running back, wide receiver. And I think we've always done that, and that's always, been very good for our kids, and it's keep them locked in. But, in our pursuit drill, one thing that we do, we do pursuit every day. I mean, we're going and playing in the national semifinals. And the first thing we do on a Tuesday, our kids get right lined up, and we do pursuit. And we'll do a run pursuit. And then the second thing we do is a pass pursuit. And, we'll get into a call. We'll get into basically a zone drop. I'll throw the ball, and, maybe up to a corner linebacker safety. Everyone runs to the ball carrier, and then they'll corral him, and they'll kind of corral him down the near sideline to the end zone. So maybe that helps our kids, get into great blocking lanes after the interception. So maybe that helps. But again, I can't really take a lot of credit, especially when we've got a guy like Jake O'Connell back there who has done an unbelievable job for us.
Coach, the last area of your defense I'd like to talk about is that side of keeping them out of the end zone. You guys were 14th in the nation in red zone defense, number 17 in the nation scoring D, holding your opponents to 14.1. So you guys do a great job just keeping them out of there. And obviously when they do get the chance, when they do pop into the red zone, you guys find a way to shut them down. What are some of the keys to keeping teams out of the end zone, especially as they draw closer to it?
I think the emphasis still stays on you got to be able to stop the run. We take a lot of pride in not letting up a rushing defense or rushing touchdown. So, the first priority of our first set of red zone or goal line that we'll do will be all run or boot play actions. We'll kind of stay away from the passes. So we really focus on all their top formations, in the run game, and then off of that, all their play actions. And that's been our emphasis. That's we're gonna try and whether load up the box and goal line, we'll get out of our 3-4 a little bit depending on the personnel. We'll go to a 5 or sometimes maybe even a 6-man front. Not often, but that's really the only time I like to get out of the 3-4 is down by the goal line. But our emphasis is still stopping the run, and we take a lot of pride in not letting the team hand the football off and cross that goal line. Pass wise, I think. As a little bit opposite, I spoke to you before about really getting our eyes on the quarterback and really kind of, we definitely teach more of a spot dropping mentality and eyes on the quarterback. We're down in the red zone, down really 10 yards and in. And for me, I only categorize the red zone as a 13-yard and in. That's it for me. Mm-hmm. Anything past that, up to the 25, I don't really count as a red zone because over the time, I just don't see as many things changing for offenses. And I believe when your alignment changes as a DB, whether it be safety, whether it be corner, if you need to snug your alignment or you need to tighten up your alignment, that's when things change for us, and that's what we call the red zone. I believe being real physical with wide receivers. The greatest thing about college football is you can be real physical with wide receivers. So we get out of more of a spot drop, eyes on the quarterback, to more of a, I guess you would say, a matchup, real physical on wide receivers, really taking away the inside throwing lanes, making them throw it to the outside, those tougher throws, and really concentrate on being real physical and disrupting the timing of the routes because there's so many mesh concepts and 3 to a side, 4 to a side when you get down the red zone. I believe it's really important to disrupt the timing of routes and get them off, their timing.
Here are our winning edge takeaways and ideas for implementation. 1. Coach what you know. Coach Fox was tasked with improving the Brockport defense when he came over from St. John Fisher. He made a big impact by doing what he knew best, using a three-man front. You'll find that whatever position you coach, building on your strengths as a coach, just as we do with our players, will best serve you and the players you coach. That doesn't mean you don't expand and develop in other areas, but you can't be effective if you're not relying on your strengths, so always start there. 2, you get what you emphasize. From coaches' implementation of up-downs in every practice, that they don't get 5 turnovers, to their fun yard sale chant, that focus on turnovers made them one of the best in the country at taking the ball away. Remember though, if you try to emphasize too many things in this way, then nothing is a priority. So figure out what is most important and make sure that is constantly measured and managed. And 3, really understand how the field breaks down for you. This applies as an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, even special teams coordinator. There are a ton of studies on the numbers that work for other coaches, and those are always a good starting point. But if you do find numbers you like, be sure to tailor them to your situation. For example, Coach Fox uses the 13-yard line for the red zone starting point, and they're consistently one of the best here. He studied what makes the most sense for them and his defense, and they build it off of how they approach everything from the 13-yard line in. Be sure to go to coachingcoordinator.com for our enhanced show notes, articles, links to resources, and our winning edge takeaways detailed in text. If you have a great idea to share with other coaches on the podcast, DM me on Twitter at Coach K. Grabowski, or email me, keith@coachingcoordinator.com, and we'll set something up to record your ideas. If you are enjoying the podcast, please give a 5-star rating on whatever platform you listen to, and if you have a minute, write a review. We greatly appreciate it, and it allows more people to learn about the podcast.